welcome to Yahoo Finance Presents. My name is Aarthi Swaminathan, and today we're joined by Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts, who is here to talk about her fight and push to cancel student loan debt. So, Congresswoman, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
So just a few hours ago, the president was asked about broadly canceling student loan debt, and he said, quote, "I am considering some debt reduction." He said that he's taking a hard look at it in the next couple of weeks. How confident are you that something is coming, and what do you think of the timing? Do you think it needs to happen sooner?
The fact that President Biden is expressing an openness to some form of debt cancellation is really a testament to the vigilance of this broader movement, the same movement that decisively elected him, and also the leadership of myself, Leader Schumer, Senator Warren, Rep. Omar, and others who have been advocating for broad-based student debt cancellation to alleviate the hardship that has resulted in a nearly $2 trillion crisis. This is an economic justice issue. It's a racial justice issue, given the disproportionate burden bore by Black and Brown borrowers. It's also a gender justice issue. 2/3 of this $2 trillion crisis are women, and certainly Black women disproportionately have higher debt. So this is an economic justice issue, it's a racial justice issue, it's an intergenerational issue. I can't tell you the number of parents that I've met that are saying they cannot retire because they co-signed loans or for their children, or that they're still paying on their own loans and now they're also paying their children's. Grandparents on fixed income, 76 years old, still paying student debt. Millennial, Gen Z, unable to purchase a home, to start or to expand a family or to start a business. So this nearly $2 trillion crisis is really choking at the promise of our families, our communities, and the country writ large. And the president does have the authority, and the same authority that he has used, and I do want to acknowledge his heeding our calls for student loan pauses during this pandemic. And we know that that has been really game-changing for families in the midst of such unprecedented economic hardship to use those funds instead to remain safely housed or to purchase essential goods. And in fact, I've even heard from some constituents who became first-generation home buyers. And so when you see that sort of impact and the difference that that is making directly to people, imagine how much more transformative and impactful if we do broad-based student debt cancellation at a robust number.
So let's talk about the number. He said he was not keen on $50,000 in debt. On the campaign trail, he has proposed $10,000 in cancellation. There was a recent study by the New York Fed said $10,000 would affect the maximum number of people at the lowest cost, but they also proposed a means test. So are you satisfied with $10,000? Where do you stand on that?
Well, at this point, all we know is that the president has expressed an openness to cancel some debt. And again, that in and of itself is a tremendous victory. And so I believe that we are closer than ever before to seeing some of this hardship alleviated. I've always advocated for a broad-based student debt cancellation. It's transformational, it's impactful, and we were advocating for $50,000 by executive action because that would help 80% of those in the lowest income bracket. So it would impact, it would be deeply impactful. But the truth of the matter is that anyone who is carrying debt deserves relief. And any relief that we can provide people in the midst of unprecedented economic hardship as we begin to round the corner and head into a recovery from this pandemic-induced recession would make a difference.
In terms of politics, how impactful are the midterms in affecting his sense of timing? Because the payment pause was set to expire in August. 40 million people, 40 million voters are keenly watching this. So can you speak a little bit about timing?
Well, again, I thank the president for heeding the cause of this broader movement and coalition, both to express an openness to canceling student debt at some level, And again, also the several pauses that we have been able to get during this pandemic. So far as timing, I think any time is a good time to impact the lives of Americans in a directly impactful way. The ultimate persuasion tool is impact. And these are the sorts of transformational policies, canceling student debt or making the child tax credit permanent, as an example, combating climate change, addressing the affordable housing crisis. These are the sorts of impactful, tangible policies that we need to advance so that people never have to question, are we fighting on their behalf? Are we doing everything possible to meet their most basic needs, but also to ensure that there is an equitable opportunity for people to do more than to survive, but to thrive. So Democrats win when we deliver, and we have to deliver in ways that are impactful, tangible, and transformative, like canceling student debt. So this is good policy, and it is also good politics.
The Biden administration has enacted various other forms of canceling debt of defrauded borrowers, of those suffering from total and permanent disabilities. So a question on how would you grade the administration's efforts thus far on student loans, aside from this proposal, this potential broad-based cancellation? How would you grade the administration's actions thus far?
I'm always encouraged when government is responsive to what they are hearing from those that they represent. I was encouraged every time that some debt was being canceled. Again, whether it was the public service loan forgiveness program or disabled borrowers, veterans, or those, an issue I worked on in my prior life as a city councilor, or restoration for those who've been victimized by for-profit colleges and universities. And so those were all encouraging steps. But at the end of the day, we want to uplift and alleviate the burden for as many people as possible. And that is why we need broad-based student debt cancellation. And again, the president does have the authority, and he does not need any action by Congress. He can act unilaterally. The same authority that was used for the pause on student loan payments during this pandemic is the same authority that can be used, the authority that was given to him by Congress through the Higher Education Act to, by executive action, with the stroke of a pen, cancel student debt. So, he has the authority, and I think he has a mandate from this electorate. This is about being responsive to the multi-generational, multiracial coalition, which decisively elected him. And that was a movement comprised of issues-based activists on many issues, canceling student debt chief amongst them. So this is about the president keeping his word and being responsive to the coalition of voters which elected him. And this is also about alleviating hardship for those who comprise this nearly $2 trillion crisis.
Final question on what happens after. So if the president goes ahead and cancels $10,000 or $50,000, the machinery still grinds. Payments sort of come due, the debt collection machinery starts. Can you speak quickly as to what he can do immediately after he cancels debt in terms of reform?
Well, again, like I've said throughout our advocacy here, that across the board, student debt cancellation would be historic and life-changing, and that's what we need to deliver. Any relief will be impactful so long as it is broad-based. But we know in terms of the larger issues here, systemically here, Aarthi, that what we're really trying to address here is an affordability crisis, and the cost of higher education has increased by some 150%. And so we need to expand Pell Grants, we need tuition-free college, and then there's so many other things that we need to do to right-size the burden that working families are experiencing. particularly in the midst of rising inflation. So that's why it's important that we do things like cancel student debt, that we make the child tax credit permanent, that we address the price gouging by companies, that we resolve conflicts abroad. Anything that we can do, that everyone work at a living wage. We have to address all of these challenges that working families are facing, and then continue to do the broader work of making college more affordable. But again, I'm very encouraged. We are so close, and again, it is such a testament to this movement and the many who have been willing to share their stories. I'm stopped by someone every day, healthcare workers, educators, seniors, as I said, parents who are still working, into their 70s and cannot retire because they have co-signed these loans for their children. So, this is a good day. I'm very encouraged by what we've heard, and I can't wait until this comes to fruition. But then we have to get to work to tackling the other issues.
It's been a long road for you from the elections, general elections, to now where we are. And I've documented this, and I know how much work you've put into this. So let's see how it plays out.
Yes.
Don't want to count the chickens before they hatch.
That's right. Nothing is real until it is, but we are closer than we have ever been. And so, I'm going to, I need to just acknowledge that victory,
Got it. Thank you so much, Congresswoman Pressley, for joining us. And this has been Yahoo Finance Presents.
Thank you.